what's up, guys? This is Aaron Jordan, Mr. Know Your Worth himself. I'm a relationship coach, I'm an author, I'm a motivator. We're going to talk to real people that overcame real issues right here on Cafe Conversations. Hey guys, welcome to Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth. Guys, I always tell you each week, we always have on the show people that have stories that are meant to inspire others, overcoming obstacles, overcoming just tumultuous situations. We have a pleasure of having Miss Seanne Wilson, the director of the Women's Center at Tennessee State University.
Blue. Why?
Hey, Miss Seanne, you doing all right?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing wonderful.
I'm so glad to be here with you.
I'm so glad you had time to out your day to come and give little old me a chance and talk and have a conversation.
I'm excited to talk to you.
Oh man, I appreciate it. But on the show, I always like to start where just tell us a little bit about yourself and things like that. And I always like to have people know the back end story, because a lot of times people see the right now. People see after all the hurt, after all the pain, they see the glitz and the glam. And they see the right now, but they don't know the back end story.
They don't know.
So just tell us a little bit about yourself for our audience.
So, for those of you who might not know me, I am Seanne Wilson from Springfield, Tennessee. And grew up there, but moved when I was 3 to Indianapolis. Went to school, graduated, came to Nashville specifically to go to MTSU. And went there 2 years, met my husband.
Wow.
Got married, had my beautiful daughter who's here with me today. And then we divorced. And then through divorce, started working at Tennessee State. I actually worked for the chief of police, who suggested I go back to school and get my degree.
Wow.
Got my degree, immediately was hired to work in the president's office.
Come on.
Yes, I spoke it. I walked through the campus and I said, Lord, I want to work here at TSU.
So basically you went on the campus and planted your feet on
I planted some seeds. And I just said, Lord, you know, I believe, and I'm third generation TSU. My grandfather graduated in the 30s, like 36. My mother graduated in the 60s, and then I came in behind. My daughter said, I'm not having it. She went to Clark Atlanta. But
she broke the generational
She did. She was like, no, we're going to do something different. You know, the children see, and they've been on the campus all their life.
Yeah, they want
so
something
she wanted something different. But I went to a women's conference in Chicago. And when I went to this women's conference, one of the ladies there was transparent. And she talked about being raped.
Oh, wow.
And while I wasn't raped, I was molested, which is similar. And it just opened up feelings that I had pushed down and hidden for 40 years.
Oh, man.
So I literally fell apart at this conference. And I said, you know, then I needed healing. I realized because hurt people hurt other people. So I'd hurt family members, I'd hurt friends, I'd hurt my daughter. And that was the reason why I was divorced. I actually blamed him for everything. It was all his fault. And then I realized that I did play a part. So the Lord was dealing with me to go and apologize, which really was embarrassing when you have to go and apologize to people that you wounded.
Oh, I've been in that position before.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to do it.
Oh, we don't.
I didn't want to do it.
And so what I call that is you were in a position where you had to take ownership.
Of the injury.
Of the hurt
and the injury to others.
And actually sit in that. And so let's start with this point. So, like I said, people see the now, but they don't know the story. They don't know the back end story. So, for the people that are sitting and they're wondering, how do I transcend in dealing with the molestation, or dealing with rape or anything like that? How do I get out of that pit? What do you say to them?
Well, first I didn't want to admit that it really happened. And then I didn't want to tell anybody, because then they'll look at me differently. And you know, I had this persona. People thought I was whatever that was. And so do I want to expose myself? And that was my platform, because I didn't like women also.
Oh, man.
I did not like women because women are messy.
Wow.
But then I found out that I was messy.
Ooh, okay.
Very messy. And my girlfriends and I, we would get together. It's in the book. We would get together and we would talk about people. And my daughter, she said, Mommy, is that of God?
So it's like a reflection moment with your daughter.
What am I showing her?
And
so I had to take ownership of that. And I'm like, now I'm not a bad person, am I? But, you know, we all have faults. We all fall short.
Yeah.
And so taking ownership of those things in my life that were not pleasing or were not good, I went to a class that was entitled Making Peace with Your Past.
Wow.
And
let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Making peace with your past. A lot of people don't understand that's a tweetable, as a matter of fact. Make peace with your past.
Yes.
And so let's just let that sit for a minute, because a lot of times people don't understand that in order for you to move forward, you have to go back and revisit your past and actually deal with it. Sit in the hurt, sit in that hurt, sit in that pain. Let it marinate, you know, just like grandma in the kitchen marinating them greens,
right.
you know.
Yes.
So you have to let that sit. So in that, when you're in that class, I'm pretty sure that you saw a lot of people that was going through some of the similar things that you were going through. How was that a moment for you?
It took me till the end, because I sat in the class like this.
Wow.
And you're not going to break me. I'm not going to reveal.
Wow.
And I'm okay. And so one of the ladies in the class, she said, would you like to share? And I said, no, I don't have anything to share.
Wow.
And she got up and she hugged me.
Wow.
And when she put her arms around me, then I broke.
The embrace of touch. And wow.
Isn't that important?
That is very important.
Because a lot of times we feel alone.
We do.
And I talk about that in the book. I actually had to become naked in front of people in order to be transparent.
Wow.
And now people tell me I'm too transparent. But
that was another tweetable if y'all missed that.
Too transparent.
You had to become naked with self in order to be transparent. Can I take that?
You can.
Can I tweet that
you
out?
You can tweet it. Yes, you can.
And that brings back a lot of things for me when I was thinking about my hurt, my pain and stuff too. It was a moment where I had to just really dive deep into my own transgressions, my own hurt, my own pain. And you saying you had to become naked.
Naked.
Not literally, but you had to
figuratively.
you had to become naked with the subconscious mind of dealing with yourself, dealing with the inner self, where the things that you're doing your homework on, you fix it on the inside, it exudes outwardly.
So how do we help other people if we need help?
Come on now.
So how can I
get that collection plate?
Can we pass it around? And then, so one of my events at Tennessee State, and that I do for my own women's empowerment, is the enemy the inner me?
We're going to get to that book now. We're going to get to that.
I want to blame you. But what if it's me?
Exactly.
God forbid.
Because when you point at somebody else, how many fingers do you got pointing back at you?
Yeah, you got all of them.
Got 3. And that was me in my situation when I was dealing with, I needed the validation of love.
Yes.
I needed the validation of wanting things to be reciprocated back to me. And in my transgression, in my hurt, I was blaming others. Not looking at the fact of saying like, okay, well, it's you doing all this. I'm perfect. I'm not doing anything, you know? And the fact of not understanding that, okay, when I look in the mirror, that's me. I'm looking into that hurt. I'm looking into that pain.
But we're not taught that.
We're not taught. We're not taught to really
self-identify.
Exactly. Self-identify with our pain and with our hurt.
Indeed.
So in that moment of you self-identifying, how did you get to the point where you were able to do that? So
in that class we journaled, and out of the journal was all of this information, and I said, what do I do with this after this class? Yeah. And so then realizing that I had some bad points that I needed to work on, because in me working with young women on and off the campus and dealing with my own now business, I can't help other people if I'm damaged and if I'm broken. Wow. And I also work with a lot of young ladies who have suffered rejection. Man. And because I didn't have a father in my life, I had that same rejection. Wow. And you talked about love. I've always been looking for love, and in all the wrong places. Wrong places. Wow. Because all of us want to be loved. So that hug, that touch, and statistics show when babies don't receive hugs and touches, that it damages them. It does. Yes. Yeah, it does. That's from a psychological standpoint too as well. So let's talk about this, because I know by you,
getting to the point of being the director of the Women's Center at Tennessee State University, I'm sure you deal with a lot of issues, a lot of things that happen on college campuses that a lot of people don't even talk about.
Sure.
And that a lot of people are scared to talk about. So with some of those emotions, how do you navigate that with your students or with your kids?
So my undergrad degree is in psychology, but my master's is in public administration.
Wow.
So I'm not a therapist or a counselor, but I work closely with the counseling center.
Yeah.
Because if you, and I tell everyone this, we cannot damage people further by trying to counsel them and we don't know what we're doing.
We don't know what we're doing,
So
or talking about.
Or talk about. So I stay in my lane. But now my doctorate will be in counseling.
Wow.
I'm going to jump back over because I cannot help young ladies myself, but I provide resources and connect them to. I have an advisory board with, I'm excited about Senator Brenda Gilmore being on my team, and
Ms. Brillmore,
Mrs. Marie Sewing, and Deputy Mayor Brenda Haywood. All these wonderful women in Nashville helped me run that Women's Center.
Wow.
And then I have a student board, advisory board, and they help me run the Women's Center. And then most especially, President Glenda Glover, she runs the Women's Center.
Come on now.
So I can't do anything without the team.
Office.
All the way to the Oval. I don't make a move unless it's approved.
Unless it's approved. But one thing I like, my heart and passion is our young people.
Yes.
Our young people, they're in such dire need of that. They're yearning for that inspiration.
Yes.
They're yearning for that mentorship. They're yearning for people to actually understand them.
Yes.
Because they're going through things that they think that they're the only ones that's dealing with those particular situations. So with those particular kids, you may have kids that's in a position that's looking to start that business or drop out of school or anything of that nature because of things that have happened that they're thinking that they're dealing with by themselves. How do you navigate through that? Because I'm pretty sure you get stories and kids that come to you and talk.
And so usually 2 or 3 times a week, I stop and I'm hands-on with them regarding bullying, domestic violence.
Wow.
And that can be man on man, woman on woman, man on woman, and women on men. And one of my classes pre-COVID was we talked about what men want and what women want. And I know you can identify with that.
Come on now.
And so one young man, he said, Miss Wilson, can we talk about how women bully men? And I said, well, now that couldn't be the case here in Nashville. And then I said, if you've been bullied by a woman, raise your hand. And 80% of the room had been bullied. So now we're working with them as well in the counseling center.
With the men.
With the men.
But that's the thing, though. That's the thing. Men, we're not taught to share our emotions.
Exactly. But all they keep hearing is men abuse women.
Exactly.
But we never hear women abuse men.
Exactly. And the thing is, when we go through that hurt, because I was in the same position, when we go through that hurt, or we're causing hurt, or we're dealing with those inner demons talking to us and things, we're not taught to share our emotions. We're not taught to talk about our feelings. We're not taught to talk about our pain.
Well, you all are supposed to be strong.
We're strong. We're supposed to be high and mighty.
Hard. Yes.
But the thing is that when we do talk about it, the sigh of relief that you can see that comes over us, it's
and you just
powerful.
feel so much better when you get all of that. So I've listened to Bishop T.D. Jakes, and he talked about when a man comes with baggage and a woman comes with baggage, that's a whole lot of luggage.
That's a whole lot of luggage. We're finna go on an international trip.
Now, how can we start this journey together and we've got all of this baggage between us that we didn't fix before we came together?
Miss Seanne, I'm loving this conversation. Guys, I told you, you're in for a treat. Guys, we'll be right back on Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth.
I've been fortunate to live in Middle Tennessee all my life. I love the culture, the people, and the Southern traditions. People often ask, why are you so passionate about what you do? It's simple. I love people. I've been privileged to serve the Middle Tennessee area as an award-winning, top-producing realtor since 2011. My name is Gabrielle Garner, and I'm here to lead you home. Call today for your complimentary consultation.
Today's show was brought to you by Tennessee Minority Pages, your one-stop shop for minority businesses. Hey guys, welcome back to Cafe Conversations with Mr. Know Your Worth. Guys, I'm telling you, if you missed the first part of the show with Miss Seanne Wilson, you're in for a treat. Like I said, we always have prolific people on the show that have profound stories to inspire, enrich, and connect people. Guys, we're sitting here talking with Seanne Wilson, the director of Women's Center at Tennessee State University. She's still here with us. How you doing today?
I'm enjoying myself.
Come on now, I didn't run you out?
No?
Oh,
I'm
man.
ready for some more. Let's do this.
That's a good thing. But right before we went to commercial, we was going there because we was talking about some things where I think that a lot of people need to hear. And we segued to where men dealing with emotions.
Yes.
Not being, well, I wouldn't say equipped, but not being taught how to navigate those emotions in communication too as well. So let's pick right back up there. Because you was talking about you had a event where you had like 80% of the men in the audience was said they've been domestically abused
by women.
Talk about that.
And so the young man, he was dating a young lady, and they broke up. So immediately, as happens, he started dating someone else.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't. She's yearning for him. She goes over without calling.
Oh, wow.
And she realizes someone else is there.
Oh, true.
So she pushes her way in, and a fight ensues, and he wanted her to leave.
Wow.
And she's emotional because she's tied, you know, those soul ties.
Yes.
And
yes.
so
Very powerful
he's
thing.
moved on from that. There's no soul tie. So he's moved on. And so he pushed her out.
Well, there actually is subconsciously a soul tie.
Yes.
That's a whole nother show.
But you all are not.
I can delve into that.
You're not quite as emotional as we as women. We operate from the emotional. You all are, you all are here and we're here.
Yeah.
And so as I talk to other young ladies and other young men, that Venus-Mars thing is real.
It is.
And we want relationship.
Yeah.
And you all just want, and some relationship at times, but sometimes it's just for that moment. But we don't get that. So for us, it's like, we now want to hit you. I can't fix this. I can't make you come back, but I'm going to hit you because I'm angry.
Yeah. And that's just a lash out point.
It is a lash out. But now for you all, if you hit us back, you can go to jail.
Oh man, we're under the jail.
Let's talk about that. So that's real, and it's not always fair.
It's not.
So I tell the young ladies and men, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
And then if you are LGBTQI, then there's an issue there because women hit women and men hit men.
Yeah.
And I have that to deal with sometimes.
Oh, wow.
And in whatever the relationship with whoever gender related it is, I always tell people, keep your hands to yourself.
Wow. So in that, you're dealing with a lot of emotions. You're dealing with a lot of things. And so I know that has some, in hearing those stories and seeing those children, I know that has some type of effect on you as well because, you know, they're like your kid, your actual kid. How do you navigate through that?
I have accountability partners.
Okay, there we go.
So I have a spiritual accountability partner. I have professional. You have to.
Yeah.
And then when I get home, I try to leave that at work. Just like when I leave home, I leave all of that at home. Whatever I'm dealing with, whatever issues, that doesn't go to work with me.
Yeah.
And I also have prayer partners.
Wow.
So that's very important to me to be able to reach out and say, you know, and confidentiality is key.
Most definitely.
What goes on in the Women's Center, it's a safe zone.
Yeah.
But you have so many dealing with suicide, dealing with domestic violence, dealing with bullying, dealing with other major issues. Yes, rejection, porn.
Oh man.
So that's another, and that's on both sides, men and women. And so then I realized that I wanted to take what I do outside of Tennessee State and start my own entrepreneurial business to work with young people because I have a heart for young men and young women, but specifically women who are hurting. As I was hurting, and they may not have a mother or father or a grandmother or grandfather to talk to. So who do you talk to?
So just being that vessel where you can actually be able to help them navigate.
Yeah. And if I can't, maybe you can.
Most definitely.
So that's why I would love to partner with you and other Nashville partners because I can't do it by myself now.
She said she want to partner with Mr. Know Your Worth. Come on.
Because we all need to know.
We do.
Our word.
Yeah, most definitely. And we're gonna get. We're gonna do some. We're gonna do some things. I'm loving what I'm hearing. I'm loving the things that you have going on too as well. But let's talk about this in the times that we're in. So I know with a lot of the students there, like the seniors that were supposed to graduate this year, things of that nature. Just dealing with those. That everything that's going on with what's going on in our economy
Yes.
too as well. How do you navigate through that? Because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety,
Yes.
a lot of things mentally that those kids are dealing with. How do you deal with that?
Well, let's not leave out faculty and staff.
Come on now. I wasn't going to leave you guys out.
Because if
I wasn't gonna
I'm
leave 'em out.
depressed or anxious,
Uh-huh.
how can I function properly in dealing with a student?
Wow.
So what we just recently had, and I get my best thought first thing in the morning
With a cup of coffee?
with a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And so I was just brainstorming and decided to reach out to the other HBCUs in Nashville,
Yeah.
to American Baptist College, Meharry, Fisk University, and talk to the ladies.
Okay.
And say, let's reach out and see how our students are doing. And the conversation was, how are you? How are
Wow.
you really doing?
Yeah.
Because we want our students to come back, and we don't want them to just come back for money. We want them to know that we care about them.
Yeah.
We want them to know that they matter.
Yeah.
And so they called in, and they were able to ask questions from all of our leadership. Our president,
Wow.
President Glover, was on the call.
Wow, that's amazing.
And it was just amazing to hear doctors from Meharry
Wow.
talk about the issues that are going on in the world right now,
Wow.
and to find out, how we can reach them. Where's their head? Mental illness is
It's
a
real.
real issue.
It is.
And we need to talk about it.
We need to talk about that more. Yes, we do. So, in everything that you have going on, Miss Seanne, soon to be Dr. Wilson,
I'm working on it. You too.
but in everything that you have going on, you're an author.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Where do you find the time?
Late at night. Late in the midnight hour.
You have a book called Overcoming Me. Let's
Yes.
talk about that.
Okay.
How did the concept of that book take me back to that point of the inception of writing the book?
The journal.
The journal part.
So in journaling through making peace with your past, and I had to deal with the fact that my father wasn't in my life. I had to deal with the fact that I had been domestically abused myself. I had to deal with the fact that I came from a single parent and my mother had to raise us by herself.
Wow.
The struggle.
Wow.
And and I was mad at my mother.
Wow.
I was mad at her because I felt like my father should still be in our life, not realizing what she had been through, because those earlier generations
Yeah.
didn't talk about.
No.
See,
What
these
happens
kids
in the
now
house
are
stays
talking.
in the house.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
back in
right,
the
and
day,
that's the problem.
Yeah.
So we hid all of that, and we are just now coming out with some things. But now my daughter and her generation, they're talking,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is good. And we see from Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey that conversations
Yeah.
are such. Let's not leave out Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, yeah.
I love Ellen. She has some real conversations.
She does. She
And
does.
yeah, we just really, if we're going to reach this new millennium,
Okay.
we need to talk to them about
Real issues.
real hard issues,
Yeah.
real serious.
The hardcore stuff. And I think a lot of times when you think about some of the conversations that are going on or were going, it was just scratching the surface.
Right.
So in your book, Overcoming Me, is that some of the conversations that you have?
It is. I talk about generational curses.
Okay.
I talk about domestic abuse.
Wow.
I talk about rejection.
Wow, rejection is a very powerful
Rejection.
thing.
But for me, I'm a self-procrastinator. I will procrastinate, whether it's studying or whether it's preparing to speak
Yeah.
to the last minute, which is
Wow.
not good. So really wanting to self-esteem, self-confidence,
Yeah.
self-worth. I didn't find out who I really was until my 40s
Wow.
because I didn't know my worth.
Wow.
And when you don't know who you are, you'll fall for anything
Most definitely you will. When you don't understand the value that you actually
that you
have,
bring to the table.
that you bring to the table, that you're born with. You know, it causes some issues. It actually causes us to stagnate our progression.
It does.
Because the longer it takes you to figure out your value, your worth, and your purpose.
Purpose.
See, you saw I just let that set there, right?
Hashtag purpose.
Hashtag purpose. Well, that's another tweetable right there. But the longer it takes you to figure that out, the longer you'll be stagnated in
Yes.
this. Because the thing is, if you don't figure it out, you won't be able to do the work.
Indeed.
Because you have to get to the position and do the work in order to find out the
Indeed.
purpose. So take me to the point where the journal turns into the book. How does that process? Because I'm pretty sure it was as you was writing it, it was some emotional
crying.
things for you. Yeah.
Crying and just, again, being transparent. When I looked at all the pages, and I said, this is a book.
Wow.
And then I realized that this book, I didn't need to start. I already knew I wanted to do Overcoming You, because we always want to say you. But first I needed to start with me.
Yeah.
And get past my own issues.
Most definitely.
What did they say? To thy own self be true.
To thy own self be
Physician,
true.
heal thyself.
Wow.
So I start working on me and getting myself together. And I have OCD issues that come from baggage and hurt. So I wanted to deal with all of those. You know, it's got to be lined up.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
if it's not turned this counterclockwise, it's going to bother me.
And I can walk in my house and tell when something's out of order. But when I started dealing with me and started writing and being truthful, because a lot of times they tell you in church, testify but don't test the lie.
Test the lie, yeah.
So I wanted to be truthful in the book, that it was real and it had really happened to me.
Most definitely. So in that, that was pretty much like your therapeutic moment where you was actually releasing your pain, releasing just your hurt and
crying.
Oh my God.
Yes, and mad. It all came back to me. I was like, I forgot she did that to me. But what had I done to make her do that?
Wow.
And so, and realizing that I'm a blamer, I want to blame other people for things that actually were me.
Wow.
You know, I could blame you for world peace.
Don't blame me. Don't blame me, please. Don't. But in that though, it took you back to a moment of really having a self-reflection moment.
And my worst one was self-sabotage.
Oh my God.
Has anyone ever sabotaged themselves? Why would I sabotage myself?
They call me quote unquote the relationship guy. That's what they call me. But in dealing with and when wanting to move on, you know, you find a lot of people masking their hurt by using other people to do it, to get over other people. But in retrospect, you're looking at you're actually sabotaging your own happiness, because if you don't do the work and you use other people to get over the next person, you're putting emotions on top of emotions on top of emotions. I call you being pretty much emotionally schizophrenic, because you're dealing with so many things.
So many.
You're dealing with this person over here, that person over there. When have you had time to deal with yourself? And
if we don't deal with it, it just pushes us further back.
Come on now.
So we could have done some of the things that we're doing now 15, 20 years ago, but because of self-sabotage and talking myself out of it, these books have been in my spirit for the last 20 years. I'm just now getting to it. Because I was like, I'm not worthy to write a book. Who would want to read what I wrote?
Your story,
Yes.
And that's why I tell people that your story is not meant for you. It's meant for others.
Exactly.
It's meant to heal and help others to overcome themselves.
Now,
you know?
And who are we to hold back? The Lord has all of us here for a purpose, as we said, but so how do we help people? We have to figure out what gift He's given us, and He didn't give me Miss Know Your Worth. But if I try to do that, I'll do more harm and hurt, because that's not in me. Mine is overcoming.
Well, Miss Seanne, I really appreciate you coming.
Spending your time.
It's over. It's over. I hate it.
I don't know where you're going, but you got to get out of here.
But I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, like always, I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the show. You've been tuning in to Cafe Conversations with Aaron Jordan, Mr. Know Your Worth. Today's show was brought to you by Tennessee Minority Pages, your one-stop shop for minority businesses.